Welcome back, 7th and 8th grade. Happy Friday. You have made it through another week of remote teaching. That is something to celebrate. Trust me, I feel the same way. All right, we are again in our new chapter, Unit 5, Chapter 4 on Human Development, and we were discussing the first part of Section 5.41 on the endocrine system in our last video. And so today we are going to finish that discussion and wrap out that first section of this chapter. All right, so again, this is all on page 284 to 288 in your textbook. So we left off and you had labeled different endocrine glands on your worksheet, hopefully, and you've sent that to me. If not, get that to me when you can, please. So now we're just going to talk specifically about those endocrine glands and go through them and kind of what they do very briefly. And so the first gland that we're going to talk about is the hypothalamus, which is really what links the nervous system to the endocrine system. It's kind of the connection point. And the hypothalamus is responsible for sending various signals that help maintain homeostasis in the body. Remember, homeostasis is that internal balance around a set point that keeps us healthy, like our set temperature that we need to be considered healthy. We don't want that to go above or below what's a normal body temperature. So that's that homeostasis. And so the hypothalamus is really what controls all of those things. The next really most important gland is the pituitary gland, which you can see they're both located in a similar region in the brain here. And the pituitary is ultimately what responds to the signals from the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus links the nervous and the endocrine, and then the hypothalamus works really closely with the pituitary gland to send signals about what needs to be done to maintain that homeostasis. And so the pituitary is really what we call the master gland, because once the hypothalamus tells it what to do, the pituitary works as a master gland to control all the other endocrine glands in your body. So it's a very, very important gland. It's located, as we said, in the center of the brain here. This is a cross section. They're showing you that in that little photo down here, that this is a brain sliced in half. So you're looking at the innermost portion of the brain, and there's the pituitary gland. And it secretes the most hormones out of every gland that we're about to talk about. So it is a very, very important gland. The next gland is the thyroid gland, which is located just over your trachea below the throat level area. So right in this area. Okay, and the picture you're looking at over here is kind of the back side. Your trachea or throat would actually run up this way through the thyroid gland. It consists of two lobes, so sometimes people say it looks like a butterfly because it almost looks like two wings. And it produces hormones that regulate your metabolism in your body cells. So how quickly you burn the fuel or food that you consume, or how slowly you might do that. It's also important for growth and maturity as you develop into an adult. You've probably heard of people who have either hypo or hyperthyroidism. Those are two very common endocrine disorders where you either produce too much of the thyroid glands, that's hyperthyroidism, or if you produce too little of the thyroid hormones, then you have hypothyroidism. And both of those cause very debilitating effects, and you can actually see oftentimes the effects on the metabolism that this causes, because people either get really skinny because their metabolism is ramped up, or they may actually gain a lot of excessive weight and not really understand why, but that's because their metabolism has been slowed down by a thyroid issue. And located just on the thyroid are these four smaller glands called the parathyroid glands. There are four of them you can see here. And they sit on the back side. So like I said, you would have your trachea going through here. This would be the back side, and on the other side of this would be the front. Okay, and this also produces hormones. They also produce hormones. A lot of them are responsible for the control of how much calcium either stays or leaves your bones to maintain your blood calcium levels. So it's important for your bone health. Next, we have your two adrenal glands, which sit one on top of each kidney. We touched upon those earlier this school year when we studied the renal system and your kidneys. And they produce epinephrine, or a hormone that's more street commonly known as adrenaline. So that's that fight or flight response that you get when you're in like a really stressful situation and you kick into gear and you're in this fight or flight mode where you're ready to attack and pounce. That's the result of epinephrine, or the hormone adrenaline, that's produced by your adrenal glands. And so this is that hormone that allows people to do really crazy things that they normally would not be able to do. If you've ever heard of a mom whose baby was like under a car and she just ran over and could like pick the car up in an instant to get the baby out, those are not necessarily fake stories. That's the action of adrenaline kicking in, but it's a very short and quick response. It does not linger, so you're not able to maintain it very long, but it gives your body that response it needs from emotional excitement, stress, exercise, or even injury. It's the same reason why some people will have a very serious break or injury from a sporting event or something, and they actually don't even feel pain initially, because they have so much adrenaline coursing through their body that they can't feel the injury or stress. It's not until that adrenaline lowers in their system that suddenly they're like, ow, okay, yeah, my arm is bent into two pieces. This hurts. There's that delayed reaction. So that's partly from the adrenal glands. The next gland we have is the pancreas, which you can see over here. They're showing you where it's located. It's in your abdominal region. You've got your liver and your gallbladder here, and the pancreas sits right in here by your stomach and your small intestine. Oops, getting ahead of myself, going back. And the pancreas produces different enzymes that we use in digestion. We touched upon that when we did the digestive system, but it also produces an important hormone called insulin to regulate the transport of sugar molecules into and out of the cells of your body. And so if you've ever heard of someone with type 1 diabetes or juvenile diabetes, then you've probably heard of insulin before, because they probably wear an insulin pump or have to give themselves insulin injections because their pancreas does not function properly. They have an endocrine disorder. Next is the thymus, and this is located in your chest cavity, kind of in front of your heart, but behind your sternum or your breastbone there. And so they're showing you right where it is here. It sits behind kind of your rib cage and sternum. And it produces hormones that are important in the development of your immune system. So it produces a lot of hormones that regulate how well your immune system is working and how it's fighting off that viruses and bacteria and stuff. So it's important to keep your thymus healthy if you want a strong and properly working immune system. Next, we have what's called the pineal body or pineal gland, and that's located in your head here, in your brain again. They're showing you it up close here. It's a funky little guy. And it lies deep in your brain and influences the development of some of your reproductive system when you're going through puberty. But perhaps what it's most commonly known for is that it plays a crucial role in your sleep-wake cycles. And so what I mean by that is, we naturally have rhythms where we rise in the morning, we get up for our day, and then at night we start to get sleepy and get tired. And that all has to do with the different hormones in our body that are controlled by the endocrine system. And specifically the pineal gland is quite interesting because it's a gland that responds to light. And so that's why as the sun sets and it gets dark, our bodies start to produce melatonin and other sleep-inducing hormones in our body that are secreted because the pineal gland senses how little or how much light is in our environment. And so when it gets that signal like, hey, it's getting dark out, the sun's going down, it's time for bed, that reduction in light that the pineal gland is picking up through your eyes is what causes more melatonin, more sleepy hormones to go through your system. And same thing in the morning. As the sun rises, your natural cycle, you wake up and you produce more hormones that say, hey, it's time to get up and have energy for the day. And so that's largely responsible for the pineal gland. And then lastly, we have the two reproductive glands in both males and females. We have the ovaries in the ladies, which produce hormones that target many of the cells in your body, and things like estrogen and progesterone. Those are two major female hormones. The ovaries also control the development of your female reproductive organs and breasts as you go through puberty and through pregnancy in different parts of your life. And this is also where eggs are developed for reproduction. And lastly, the testes, which produce the hormone testosterone. It's a common misconception to believe that because men have testes and they produce testosterone, that this is not a female hormone. That is not true. Testosterone is still found in females. Females have it in a lesser level than a male does, and that plays a role in what makes how God created us man and woman. But it's important to remember that females also do produce testosterone, and it is just as vitally important in a female body as it is in a male. It's just they serve different purposes depending on which how God made you, whether male or female. You guys know that it also plays a role in the development of the male reproductive organs, and sperm cells are developed here for reproduction as well. And as our gentleman friends go through puberty and they develop more muscle mass and maybe some facial hair and maybe their voice deepens, that's all the action of testosterone. And those are the things that don't necessarily happen in the female body with testosterone. These are the effects that testosterone has on the male body typically. Okay. And so at this point, if you want to just pause this video and get out your worksheet 5.4.1, just make sure, I'm about to show you the answers to this, that you just labeled all of those organs that we just discussed properly so that you know where they are and are able to locate them in the future. All right, so this is the exact worksheet that you completed, and hopefully you got these all labeled from last lesson. Okay, so pause that as you need to, just to double check your work. And for homework tonight, or over the weekend, going into next week, whenever, honestly, you need to please reread or read for the first time lesson 5.41, those 4 pages. It's a quick read, just to make sure you understand everything that we've covered here, because I'm not able to put every little tiny detail into these PowerPoints, so please make sure you read that. And then there are, I believe, only 3 lesson review questions for 5.41, so complete those 3 questions and send those over in an email to me for some credit. And that is all I have for you today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I will see you soon.